Hello, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023, and I'm back in my beloved Mission Trails. So, I'm just taking a couple of short walks. Here I'm on the shorter portion of the Oak Grove Loop, here in this awesome coastal sage scrub here, mostly dominated by California sagebrush. Now, usually this time of year, this plant's pretty dried up looking, as it's usually in partial summer dormancy. But since we had the rain from Tropical Storm Hillary last month, there's been a little resurgence in some of the plant's tissues. So they responded to that summer rain with a little extra leaf action. Not a lot, because it's kind of out of its season, but you notice there are some green grasses that have sprouted up as well. So after the tropical storm dumped a couple of inches of rain in the area, there has been a little bit of a resurgence of some green grasses. In some areas you'll notice it. Pretty interesting. So I know I've done video in this area, but I'm planning on trying to work my way to the Oak Grove so I can see the beautiful little oak woodland we got going on over there. But it's so weird to see green grass sprouting up this time of year, considering we're going into our driest time of the year. So it's just pretty interesting to look at it. And kind of interesting to appreciate the early season resurgence of grasses. I don't know how long they'll last, because we're going into the driest part of the year. And I'm pretty sure the Santa Ana winds will be kicking up either later this month or next month. Things will get to be very dry out here, but yeah, it's a little bit of green in September. It's kind of weird. Not a bad weird either. But yeah, some of these sagebrush has got a little bit of oomph in them when they're usually putting their little vestiges of energy in trying to form their autumn flower buds. So it's just kind of neat to see, something to appreciate. All right, this ain't gonna be a huge hiking video, but figured I'd get out and stretch my legs a little bit before I have to go back to work for the next 5 days. Hopefully something bigger on the docket for next week, when we get, or supposedly going to get deeper into a cooler weather pattern that might grant me the energy to do something a little more substantial. So we'll see. As we're starting to head towards autumn, some of our autumn bloomers are starting to come into play right now. One of the most notable ones here in coastal and foothill Southern California are our varieties of Isocoma menziesii. This one, I believe, is variety menziesii. Isocoma menziesii, probably variety menziesii, starting to come into its bloom right now. So this is going towards a more cheerful time of year for certain plants. And up in the mountains right now, the California goldenrod should be pretty much in full bloom right now. Might be going to the mountains next week, hopefully. So last week I did a pretty rigorous hike. Not a long distance, but it felt longer because it was slow going, because it was steep and rocky. When I did Viejas Mountain last week, that was definitely a good one. I was tired, very drained when I got back. Actually, well before I got back, but it's a good type of drain, good type of tired. It's something I don't regret, no matter how sluggish I felt getting back to the car. I don't regret hiking. And we're also getting towards that time of the year for toyons. Heteromeles or budifolia. Their fruit should be ripening in about a month or so, or at least start ripening pretty soon. Usually in October is when they start turning red. So now we're entering the oak grove. I've done video of this area before and how peaceful and serene it is. Yeah, we're entering the nice wooded area. Of course, nothing's riparian without some arroyo willow, Salix laciolepis. I just gotta watch out for poison oak, as it is in this area. Last time I was here was back in late March, and this area was muddy and very wet. Not to mention very beautiful. Still got nice little water in the creek, a little bit of water. Wow, so beautiful here. You're a western scrub jay. Of course, I showed this ewa. Yep, the ewa. I remember the ewa. Of course, when I came here was during the mating season of all the Baja chorus frogs, so they were croaking up a storm in this area. Croaking up an absolute storm, which was really cool to see. The beautiful red willow here too. So nice and cool under here. Now we're moving between weather patterns, so we're finally getting some marine layer in the mornings again after a long week of, well, it was about a 5-day heat wave. Not as bad as the previous one, which was about the same time, but much more intense. So yeah, we get to enjoy this beautiful wooded area. Fortunately, some of these coast live oaks have passed on over the last few years. We get a very nice idyllic scene here. We'll sit on this bench for a minute and just appreciate this little hill. Under, we're just near the base of it. You can see this little hill as you're coming into Mission Trails. It's a cool little hill. No trail up to it, unfortunately, so no hiking it, but of course that would be something I'd be interested in doing, of course. But can't deny the charms of these coast live oaks, lemonade berries, toyons. This is a very charming little area. Loved coming here the first time, and I'm loving this no less this second time. Yeah, I remember this oak here. This beautiful Quercus agrifolia variety agrifolia. Of course, what's growing out of it here is not a coast live oak. That's a western poison oak growing out of the middle there. But if you go around this bend, if you come around this way for a little bit, you're going to see something you're not going to really find much until you're more into the inland foothills. And it's another portion of the namesake of this area, the Oak Grove Trail. And I remember pointing this out the other time I was here, of course. Knowing me, But yeah, we got a nice older Engelmann oak here too. So you can see that's the coast live oak foliage right there, the shiny medium green, whereas the dull bluish gray green of the Engelmann oak definitely stands out. And we're getting some acorn action here. We're gonna have some acorns this year. That's a developing Engelmann oak acorn. They're not very large acorns. They're usually maybe about that long, but it's always pleasurable to see acorns on our trees. That is a beautiful Engelmann oak right here. Try to see where the trunk is. See, I see a trunk of I think I see a trunk of a coast live oak in there, I think. Or is that the Engelmann oak trunk? I can't even tell, huh? It's the Engelmann oak trunk. It's pretty decent size. I've seen some Engelmanns with some pretty large trunks. You go to Riverside County, near the foothills of the Santa Ana Mountains, you're going to see the Santa Rosa Plateau Ecological Reserve, which has, I believe, the highest concentration of wild Engelmann oaks around. You get to see some pretty oldies and goodies. Really handsome tree. All right. Of course, 2 peas in a pod. Toyon and coast live oak. Always love it. If you have coast live oak around, you can just about be guaranteed you're gonna have toyon around, especially if it's a relatively dense woodland. Toyons and coast live oaks go together. So if you're in a coast live oak woodland, if you're in like more of a spaced out, sometimes if you see coast live oaks in savannas, which are wooded areas with really wide spaces between the trees, then you might not see as much toyon there. But usually in these denser woodlands and canyon bottoms, coast live oaks and toyons are such common companions. Again, coast live oak, toyon. So, just something I always love to point out when I see it. We've got a view towards Clype High Peak right there. Of course, the peaks here are another feature I really relish about this park. Hiking the peaks here. The only main peak I've only done once is Powell's. That's the only peak I've only done once so far. Of course, you know that will change again. So it's a pretty nice peaceful trail here. Here's our good old visitor center. We got some matchweeds popping up here. I want to say this is probably Gutierrezia californica, but I still haven't learned how to tell that one from Gutierrezia syrothri, so I gotta unlock that key. But I'll see up the way. More finds. Alright, so I'm coming back out on Juniperocera. You can use Juniperocera to complete the loop towards the visitor center, intersection with the visitor center access lot. So I'm gonna do. Ooh, look at that handsome western fence lizard. Pretty handsome. Sagebrush smells so good today. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go hike along Juniperocera and look for any good toyons, because I'm working on a spotlight video on toyons, and my video's taken me periods over a couple months so I can get it in different seasons, because I did record a spotlight on toyons back in 2020, but quality of it was so bad and I felt like I never did that shrub justice. So this is my chance to try to make up for that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Well, I left the little Oak Grove loop, and now I'm at the Grinding Rocks Trail here, just off Junipero Serra, just up that way. You come down a little rocky slope, then you're along this beautiful trail here, and we're about to see partially why, huge reason why. Look at this magnificent coast live oak. I believe this is probably one tree, probably one root system. Quercus agrifolia, variety agrifolia. Magnificent specimen. Down here near the water course of the San Diego River. It's a very magnificent old specimen here. Very huge root burrow in here that would allow this biggin to resprout. That is a magnificent specimen here. Wow. Absolutely insanely magnificent coast live oak here. We do get quite a few really old gnarly ones here in Mission Trails. Just got to look around and you'll probably find at least one to multiple old specimens along a lot of these trails here. Here's a little bit younger one, but still quite an old, again, magnificent specimen, providing a really nice shady canopy here. This is gorgeous. Of course, Gooding's black willow, Salix goodingi, and Fremont cottonwood, Populus fremontii, subspecies fremontii, forming a really nice riparian woodland here. Yeah, sometimes in these coast live oak understories, usually your large shrubs under coast live oaks are usually toyons, but here we got some old laurel sumac growing here too. A lot of times you'll see this out in the blazing hot sunny coastal sage scrub and chaparral, but sometimes you'll find some large old specimens in the woodlands too. Actually, it's quite often. So here we are, going along the Grinding Rocks Trail. Laurel sumac's relative, the lemonade berry or lemonade sumac, of course. Yeah, you'd tell you one thing, living in this county, living in San Diego County, don't have to go far to find some really cool stuff. Never been here on the Grinding Rocks Trail, so get to really see another piece of the puzzle that is this awesome park. And we're getting some pretty nice laurel sumac, which is more characteristic here out in the open. Here in coastal sage scrub. Very beautiful laurel sumac out here. Very handsome shrub. Very much love being around it. It's a dominant large woody shrub out here in this portion. Look at this. Want some shade under a laurel sumac? Here you go, buddy. Very nice specimens of laurel sumac here. Very impressive. Very impressive. Sometimes these can get quite large. Look at this little pocket here. Wow. Yeah, it's hard to deny. Well, in my opinion, impossible to deny the charms we have here in this park. Ooh, even chaparral bush mallow, Malacothamnus fasciculatus, variety fasciculatus. Lots of awesome laurel sumacs. Really digging this trail. Ooh, we even have heartleaf beard tongue, Kekiella cordifolia. I missed doing a spotlight on this earlier this summer and late in the spring. I missed it. Now I'm catching it here with seed capsules on it. This is one of several, or at least a good few species of Kekiella here in Southern California. This one tends to be the one that likes to grow at the lower elevations usually, and in these wetter canyons or moister canyons, as opposed to a lot of the other ones that grew out in the middle of bone dry hot chaparral. We're in the understory of coniferous forest. Wow, look at these laurel sumacs. These are really cool. So if you're a fan of laurel sumac like I am, you'll definitely be liking this stretch here. And you get a good view of one of the sub-peaks of South Fortuna. That's not where the summit is. That's not even the high point there. But it looks so dramatic. It looks so aesthetically pleasing. Alright. Let me move on a little bit. I have to get a few pictures of this. There's no way in heck I'm not going to be able to do video here without taking pictures. So I'm coming out on the visitor center loop. The visitor center is up that way. I'm going to go down this way for a short bit. I'm still trying to film spotlights on Toyon. And now I might just doing a formal spotlight video or redo of a video I did in 2020. I'm also trying to really overcompensate. I'm literally trying to overcompensate for a really lackluster video I did back in 2020, which seemed to receive some, some praise and stuff, but the quality of the video was shot on a really inferior camera, so I'm not trying to deal with that. So I'm trying to head back to some coast live oak and Toyon habitat to showcase one of its major habitats here in SoCal. And of course I found some nice big coast live oaks at the bottom of the Grinding Rocks Trail. However, there weren't any Toyons under them. I'm making this big deal about how coast live oaks and Toyons go hand in hand, and there weren't any Toyons. So I should be able to update this a little bit more. Alright. Alright, so I'm on the visitor center loop still, shooting portions of a spotlight video on the Toyon that I should be able to release by sometime in October or November. Like I said, I'm doing it in stages. I'm using one single SD card to record this video because I want to keep all the files together, and I'm trying to capture Toyon through different seasons. The late spring and summer flowering, summer when the flowers start turning into fruits, and during the autumn and early winter portions when the fruits are fully ripened and they're in their beautiful deep red color. So again, the loop's going to take a turn up this way. We're right near where the San Diego River crossing trail is. So I'm just going to take a quick peek over here. I can hear water rushing through here. That one rainstorm we had back when Tropical Storm Hillary hit us really started livening up some of this area again, which is really cool. So it looks like the river crossing trail. I'm obviously not going to take it. This is a portion of the trail system I took when I first did South Fortuna Mountain up there. Made a nice little loop. I'm just going to come down here by the river and see the beautiful scenery here. Wow. Yeah, last time I went through here, back in August of 2022, it was pretty much easy crossing through here. But again, Tropical Storm Hillary definitely helped revamp it after a very wet, rainy season beforehand. So it's like, felt like the treats just kept coming. And you know what? I don't mind not being able to cross this because I love seeing the water. Happy to see this water here. Very beautiful. And I'm hoping this El Nino, this stronger El Nino that's supposed to affect our weather this winter, is not going to be like the one in 2015, 2016, which that El Nino actually resulted in below normal rainfall and record hot winter. And I remember that. It started off with some promise, especially in December and early January. Towards the end of January, it started fizzling out, and then by February was a record hot 2016. I remember using the air conditioner, and it was basically a bone dry month, and it was hot. Temperatures in the 90s in February here in Southern California. So refreshing to see all this extra water here. This probably would have been much lower had we not received rain out of Tropical Storm Hillary. It would still be, there'd be still water here, but it'd be definitely even less than it would have been otherwise. And so I'm very, very appreciative of seeing this. Very, very lovely. Very happy sight to see. I was keep talking about my spotlight video on toyons. I gotta get up to this one here. It's a beautiful toyon right here. This is a pretty large one. This is a pretty large toyon. Definitely not nearly out of the realm of possibility, obviously, because they can get quite large. But what a beautiful specimen of Heteromeles arbutifolia. Forms these large, almost tree-sized thickets. Well, it's not much. No, I wouldn't say much of a thicket because most of the stems are joined together at a central root burl. But with all the other growth in here, including these small Fremont cottonwoods, it does kind of make a thicket out of all of them together. And a young coast live oak, that is. Let's just take time to appreciate the San Diego River. Finally rejuvenated after years of depressing drought. You say, oh, you guys got beautiful sunny winters. Well, we do get a lot of sunshine in the winter, but when it takes over the entire span of the winter, that's not good for our water, our rains. Come down here in November, there'll be some fall color down here too. Cottonwoods, sycamores, willows, and of course the beautiful festive red fruits of the toyon. Definitely be something really cool to see. Well, guess I'll start moving on my way to complete this loop. Alright, so I'm about ready to try to start closing this loop. Another majestic toy on. Another majestic, beautiful toy on. Some nice little cottonwoods here too. So that's where I came. Actually joined this trail from the Grinding Rocks trail. From Father Junipero Serra. So I guess I'm going to go back up the hill here. Yeah, but when I did the South Fortuna mountain hike, kind of went through, crossed that river crossing, followed that trail, and joined up with, I think it was one of the Soycott trails or something. I was down in the Soycott Valley, then hooked up with the other trails, the South Fortuna trail. A little side path, look at this. Let's see what's going on over here. Nice little intimate grotto over here. Ooh, wow. Oh yeah, this is really neat. Wow. Got a little mini cascade over here. How sick is this? This is lit. Right underneath this sandstone. Or this, I think this is, actually some of this might be granite actually. This looks like more like granite, I think. I'm not a geologist, so I can't really speak on it too much, but right here, beautiful little Gooding's black willow. Yeah, it seems like Mission Trail seems to have a lot of these little spots kind of off on the side a little bit. How beautiful is this? Beautiful little grotto right here. And I love these little spots. We're not looking at Bridal Veil Falls and stuff like that in Yosemite, but you don't even want to deny how charming these little cascades are. How beautiful this is here. Listen to that water. Just above us is really dry coastal sage scrub. You look down here, a little miniature verdant oasis full of Arroyo willow, Gooding's willow, mule fat, ooh, and even broadleaf cattail, Typha latifolia, growing over here too. You can even see some crustacean action going on in there. Little crawfish down there. What a dope little oasis this is here. Again, reactivated by Tropical Storm Hillary back in late August. Really just livened it up over here so incredibly awesomely. Awesome. All right. So I think the cascade continues because this is a nice uphill part here. See some more of it. right here. Some of the most satisfying scenery right below these dry cliffs. It's this beautiful scenery here. And some dog came by, trying to get a drink out of the water. That's got to be more cascades here as this canyon goes uphill. So cool. It's like the brick bush, California Burkelia, California, got a little livened up after that rainfall, too. Hoping to hear this stuff thunder this winter. Hopefully a good rainy season again. This little feeder canyon. So cool. That's why I love little intimate little spots where it's so peaceful and so relaxing. I gotta tell you, little things like that, I think bring me the most serene amount of happiness. Now this portion here, I can tell is cemented or channeled off. See a big cement channel down there. Water is a premium here in Southern California. Yep. That's heading up towards Soycott Valley over that way. It's a beautiful place too. As you probably can tell, huge fan of topographical features. Mountains, peaks, hills, valleys, and canyons. Some of the black sage got new leaves on them after the rain. The sage scrub's kind of livening up again. I'm so not used to seeing it like this. It's not as green as it was in January, obviously, or March. These plants can definitely have some water in their tissues, and their essential oils are bringing out some really intoxicating fragrances. Almost over by the Jackson Street or Jackson Road staging area. Be a pretty short distance front back. You hear more water trickling down there too. Even the Ensalias, California bush sunflowers, already sending up new leaves too. Usually they're pretty dormant and drab looking until they leaf out, usually in the midwinter. Definitely a little extra treat that I'm going to sit here and wholeheartedly appreciate us getting a non-seasonal weather system bringing us some rain. So there we are, just about back at Mission Gorge Road, here at the intersection of Jackson Drive and Mission Gorge. We're heading towards the visitor center. Just enjoying this beautiful, relatively comfortable weather we're in today. We're just, like I said, we just passed through a heat wave again with some tropical humidity. Well, it's still balmy and humid, but the marine layer this morning definitely provided a blanket of air conditioning over San Diego County. So actually very nice weather out right now. There we go, big laurel sumac again. Yep. This is, I'm not sure if this is part of it, but I know we're right near San Carlos neighborhood of San Diego. Coles Mountains, right above San Carlos. Highest point in the city limits of San Diego. Been up on top of that a couple times. Enjoyed every one. Alright. Do some more lemonade sumac. Take the visitor center loop, close it out, and go this way instead of walking along the street. Alright. See you down the way. Nice laurel sumac. All right, just about to wrap up another week on the trail. Today might have been a kind of a short little jaunt, just maybe a couple of miles of hiking, but kept me from sitting another week out. So I'll take it. I will take it. I'd be out doing something than doing nothing. There's Mission Gorge Road right there. Just about to hit the visitor center very soon. Walking along this nice area of broombackers all along here. Very handsome. Amazing how much life has been breathed back into this place because of Tropical Storm Hillary. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were lots of crazy things that happened that might have been negative impacts on a lot of people, but at least around here, the impact's been so positive, breathing life into the ecosystem during a time of year where it's usually pretty dormant during the dry summer months. It's nice to see new leaves on the black sage. Normally you won't see until January or February, depending on how late the rains start. There's Father Junipero Serra, Mission Trails Visitor Center, just up there. So I think that'll just about wrap up this edition of my enjoyment here out here. Earlier on I did the shorter version of the Oak Grove, walked along Junipero Serra, went down Grinding Rocks, and joined up at the visitor center to make a pretty interesting loop today. Nice day out here. Get into the car before it gets too hot, so I don't feel all zapped out like I did last week. And some more Toyons. The theme of my day today is the Toyon, and enjoying it. So, about ready to hit the parking lot for the visitor center. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on another adventure, hopefully next week in the mountains somewhere.